invest in tweezers if you're going to do delicate work like this, tiny little projects. I never messed with tweezers much on my past projects because I didn't need them, but when it comes to stuff like this, it definitely takes a lot of the headache away to be able to handle very small, delicate things with ease. And I think I like what I got. So, let me see if I can actually spritz in a little bit of glitter here. It's actually left over from a Mardi Gras ball that I had attended. And it's such beautiful glitter. Definitely I don't want it to go to waste. So it's now going to be part of this project. A lot of this project has been me finding and recycling things, but hey, if you can't get all your art materials and your unused things into one project, what kind of artist are you? I hate the idea of leaving things unused or just leaving things abandoned. And that looks like it cured all right. I might need another tiny little layer. And it really is a lot easier, like curing time-wise, if you just go layer by layer to cure. I feel like it's a little bit more effective and goes a lot faster. And there we are. That appears to have worked out pretty well. And I'm trying to trim some of the excess, but I don't know how much of it I'm going to get with the scissors. I'm going to have to get a Dremel out and probably sand off the edges that are still holding on there, but that's all right. That's easy enough to do. Let's start on the next one while I let my USB Dremel charge. And this time I cut up the excess pieces, and I want to see if I can kind of collage them into here. This time I had the backing of the resin tape put down first. And I kind of just want to see if we can do some kind of collage-y layered art using the pieces, because this marbled paper made such a cool design and I want to use as much of it as I possibly can. I doubt my bookmaking teacher will ever watch this video. I don't think any of my professors watch my video, but if by some rare chance you end up here, yes, these are the ones that we made years ago. I kept them. I never found anything to really do with them, but they were too beautiful to get rid of. So I'm very glad that today I found a use for them. And I'm already liking what I see with just the coat of resin I put on here. I found this little stray fake flower that had fallen off from one of my previous projects, and I think I'm just going to pop it right in the middle there, because I think it was just fate that it was randomly just there and that it matches the color scheme of this project so well. I am absolutely someone who works intuitively. I try to plan to the best of my ability, but I feel no need to stick to those plans. And usually that's how I end up making some of the coolest stuff. And that seems to cure. That's pretty solid. I know I've said this over 1 billion times in my other videos, but wear gloves. You'll never regret wearing gloves, but you can always regret not wearing gloves. I just wish that they made gloves that actually fit my hands, and I didn't always have the fingertips looking like they were about to come off, because my fingers are not that long. But it is what it is. I think I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of glitter onto this one too, because why not? Now that's a little bit a lot. I don't want that much in the center, and as you know, glitter clings to everything, so I'm going to use another piece of resin tape to kind of take away the excess that I didn't want in that area. And I think that actually worked pretty well. And now I'm going to layer on another little light layer of UV resin because we want to seal all of that in really good. Want it to all stay together. And I'm just going kind of slow because I've noticed that when I go too fast, I get bubbles, and that's no fun. I think we're about ready to take that away. That looks very glossy and very hardened. I'm very happy with this one. And all I should have to do with this is peel the back off. And that came away pretty easy. And I'm just going to turn it around. I think it's cured all the way through, but I'm kind of a paranoid person, so I'm going to let a little bit of that UV hit the back as well. And voila! I do love it when a plan comes together. That is gorgeous. And I'm going to put that to the side for a second. I think that my little Dremel is fully charged. This is the first time I ever used this one, fun fact. It is a product of Resiners. And it's a pretty nifty little thing because the other Dremel I have is like a full-on huge workshop Dremel, and it can be a little bit cumbersome. So it lives downstairs. And I usually don't get to film myself sanding anything because it's just, I don't have a good camera set up downstairs. And it is really a big, huge, cumbersome Dremel with a big cord. And sometimes you have projects that merit that. It needs that kind of horsepower. But I think for the little bit of delicate work we're doing here, that this is fine. Yeah, it's definitely not as powerful as my big one, but I might also need to try another bit. This one might not be the best for sanding off paper. This piece here I made myself at home with a technique that I learned using alcohol ink and shaving cream. It's really cool because it's a very non-toxic way to marble paper. So safe that if you have kids, you can do it with your kids. And if you've been with me this long in the video, now would be an excellent time to leave me a comment. Let me know if you want me to make a tutorial on that technique, because I would love to share it. We can definitely have a paper marbling tutorial on this channel, and that way if you ever want to try this technique with making your own marbled paper resin jewelry, you can. And I think I love this piece so much that I'm just going to line up 3 at once. Kind of see what kind of little designs I can get into the bezels. And I think that what I got right there is excellent. So I may just lay down 3 at one time, because why not? That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and cure. Now, for some reason, on that one on the far left, I got some kind of air bubble or some sort of weird thing down there, and I'm a little bit annoyed because I'm not quite sure why it happened to that one. I don't know if the paper wasn't lying down flat enough and some air was able to seep in, but hold on to your hats, I have an idea. I think that the thing may still be salvageable. In fact, I think we can get a little bit creative with this. And I think getting a little bit creative is what you should do with all of your mistakes, so long as the situation is salvageable, and I think this one is. So let's see. Those are pretty solid. I'm going to have to start trimming so that we can easily separate these. I have to say I really do like the bezels that have the straight edges because it's just very easy to trim around them. And this is what we end up with. That one actually looks good. I think all of these are going to make some very interesting little pendants to sell at the art walk. But let's see. This poor little guy, I'm so upset that it got that big air bubble. It's just sitting there. Sitting there and begging me to do something about it. So let's see if we can't get it a little bit cleaned up. Get some more of those edges off of there. And then we'll get to see what we can actually do with this blemish. And I have an idea that's kind of left over from the last video I did with the hair clips. Well, maybe I shouldn't speak too soon before checking my upload schedule. Okay, you'll know what I'm talking about by the time we upload this. But yeah, I had a bunch of random beads and stuff for the drip art jewelry. And I think that we can use what we have from that project to salvage this a little. Let me see, what could I use to cover this? Let's see, no, that's weird. Maybe not that one. Let me dig in the rest of the trinkets here. Would something gold look nice? No. Don't really like that too much. What if I turned it into a flower? Still not sure that color scheme with that purple is what I want. So let me rummage around a bit in my box of goodies and see if we can't find something a little bit more fitting. Been wanting to do something with that big flower, but that's not gonna work either. That just does not go together. It's too big. Yeah, no, it covers up most of the marbling, and that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? What about this little funky looking, beetle looking bead? It's still too big to rest on the tip there. But maybe, let me try to arrange that. You know what, I might end up putting 2 baubles onto this one. I think this one can kind of live in the top corner there. But I still need to find something that I can put to cover our little problem blemish down there. This might do it. That might be just the right size to cover that and to make some really interesting looking funky art. But it is a lot of purple on purple. I wonder. Oh. Actually, I like that blue against that purple. I really do. I just have to maneuver it into the right spot, and it'll be the perfect size to cover that, and that's going to make for a pretty cool looking pendant. So let's get a little bit of resin on there, and I'm going to go ahead and place this one. Let's see, I don't know if I want to get the tips of my gloves in. Oh gosh, please don't go flying. This one's very finicky. There we go. Just need to nudge that into the right position. I don't want it, yes, I want it kind of parallel like that. And now we're going to put another little piece of UV. And let's see, I may have to just deal with getting my gloves a bit dirty. That's all right. I'd rather nudge this into the right position than worry about having to change my gloves. It's whatever. There we go. And I think it's about time to turn this off and see what we've got. Let's see if this has cured well, which it should have. I left it under there for a good amount of time to make sure. Pardon my shaky cam there. Let's see, yep, that all appears to have stayed together. That's not going anywhere. That stuff is stronger than super glue, but yeah, I think we covered the flaw really well. No one is going to be able to really tell that that was ever there and that we didn't mean to do this unless they're looking for it. And actually, I think in a roundabout way that was a happy accident, because I think it looks cooler with the beads on the outside. And now I just got to start cleaning it up. And there we go. It'll just be a matter of finding the right pendant string to attach to it, and that'll make a really cool piece of jewelry. And while I'm at it, I'm going to finish sanding these as well. That came out very nice. And after a little bit of sanding, this one has come out nice as well. I'm very happy with these so far, and I'm glad that I got this inspiration to use this marbled paper the way I did. I think this is really going to make my resin jewelry stand out from the other resin jewelry, because you can get all this detail in there from the marbling. And we still have a good chunk of this paper left, so let's see if we can't do something with it. It would be a shame not to. And I think this time I'm going to stick to a simple square. And we don't have to just plop that thing on straight. You can rotate your jewelry bezels and see what the best angle is. What framing catches the most aesthetically pleasing design. It doesn't have to always just be popped on there straight. As you can see, I think that one's nice. I think we're going to go with that. Go ahead and get the resin, get the curing, and bam. And what I love about this is that you've got a very matte look with the marbled paper, but the resin makes it look so glossy. And this square is going to be really easy to trim. I can probably get most of it with the scissors. And there we are. That came out very clean and very nice. I really am having fun with this. If I'm not careful, I'll sit here and do this all day. That's just too much fun seeing what kind of designs I can pull out of this. Trim a little bit more on this one. I mean, the possibilities are endless. I mean, you're only limited by your materials and your time. Now let's see if I can pull what's left of this bugger here. And I do think we can get even more out of this. Let's see, how do I want to go about doing this? I want a heart. I think a heart will look really good with these colors. Let's do a heart. What kind of heart do we want to do? Let me rotate, rotate, rotate. I think that looks good. A little bit close to the edge, but I think it looks good. It'll be fine. I have a silicone mat under everything, which I highly recommend if you're going to do any kind of resin work and you don't want to waste your time covering your table with a bunch of wax paper, especially since for some reason UV resin binds to wax paper. I don't know why. The regular resin that I use for the bigger projects, for the slower cures, do not in fact bind to the wax paper, but this stuff does. I don't know if it's because it's a super hard resin, but I would definitely use a silicone mat to work with any kind of resin jewelry. I think I like what we got going on right here. I'm going to pepper a few of these in there. Hearts within hearts. But I think it'll give it a little bit of glitter and shine. And blue and purple usually look well together. And I have these tiny little crystals that I think will also add some interesting details to the art. See if we can get a few of them in there without them all rolling away. I'm moving this harder little mat because it was not lying as flat as it needed to be. And that's the one aggravating thing about this, is if your stuff is not lying as flat as it can be, it can cause some issues. So just gonna rearrange a few things. It doesn't matter that I needed to kind of pick up the pieces I dropped. That's what the tweezers are for. And we'll be able to work on this with a little bit more precision than before. I had a lot more smaller details that I worked with on this. First, I put in the little top layer of resin, but I figured that having a small coat of resin in there and just dropping the tinier crystals in there would be more effective. Keep them staying in the place that I want them to fall instead of rolling everywhere, because they are hard little beads, even though they are tiny, and they're not just going to cling to every surface they hit the way that confetti, hearts, or glitter will. So I'm just going to kind of double layer this one because I want all of these tiny little beads to stay where I put them. And it looks like we've accomplished just that. I did turn it over because I wanted both sides to be really cured. It's hard to tell what's a stain and what's wet sometimes. Better safe than sorry. I'm just going to trim this, give it a little bit of sanding too while I'm at it, and it looks like that came out very well. And don't worry, I'm going to show all of these close up again at the end of the video. I know that I've been working a little bit fast here. And over here, you see I made a bit of a mess. This is why it's a good thing to keep some duct tape or masking tape, or even a lint roller if you have that handy close to you, because it makes cleaning things up so much less of a pain. Grabs a lot of those little bits, and then anything that you have extra left over that your tape doesn't get, an alcohol wipe will take care of the rest. Now I want to return to this piece here that we had not previously got to do much of anything with, and I think I kind of want to do a teardrop for that. I had a lot of cells that formed on this one when I did the marbling, and I'd like to capture some of those in a pendant. Now I'm just going to get a little bit of tape down to keep it from moving. Don't want it going anywhere. And we're going to reach for the UV resin and start filling her up. That ought to be coming along. Did I get a little air bubble in this one? I did. But you know what? I think I'm thinking of using a similar technique that I did to the previous one we got a little bubble on. Sorry, I don't know why my camera's zooming in and out of focus like that. Might have to adjust that. There we go. Now let's pop that on and cure it. Actually think that shiny red bead complements the colors we have going on very well. But I'm not done. I think I might want to also plunk on another little smaller bead to kind of give it some asymmetry. Make it look like we meant to do that. I wish I hadn't got that air bubble, but que sera, sera. We're still going to pull some interesting artwork out of this. And sometimes, you know, despite your best techniques, air bubbles happen. If they have to happen, let's at least get creative with them. And there we go. That's nice. That's not going anywhere. I love this hard resin. Better than super glue. It looks very delicate, but I'm very sure that's not going anywhere. Let's bring that one up close, if we can do it without the camera acting wonky. Yes, that came out very good. And like before, we're gonna sand, sand, sand. And that paper I used on that one was a lot tougher than that other. I actually forgot what kind of paper I used for this. It's been years since I made that one. And because that paper was so much tougher, I switched out the head of the Dremel for a sander, and that ended up working a lot better, the actual sander, than that other bit I had going on. But I also had to pop my mask onto my face because it was creating dust, and I didn't know if the dust it was creating was resin or paper, but I didn't want it in my lungs. See, this is why you don't get a whole lot of footage of me sanding ever, because you see the mess it makes. And I really need to be downstairs near a sink where I can kind of have some water flow going on. I can control all that, keep it from getting into the air. But yeah, I had to pop on my mask to do this. I will link you the Dremel that I'm using. It's very useful for small details. It has a lot more bits than the ones you've seen in my videos. But yeah, again, this is why you don't catch a whole lot of footage of me doing this, is because it's messy, and I don't have as much control over it here as I would downstairs. But for future reference, the little sanding bit is the magic bullet of sanding all paper off the edges of your jewelry. I actually brought a few pieces back to sand them a little bit better than I had with that other bit. And it looks like I won't have to use the bigger one downstairs, but now I gotta kind of clean up this mess. There we go. Time jump. The mess has been cleaned. And what you see here is, this is not Mod Podge. I use Mod Podge when I want to glue things, but when I want to seal things, I use Maker's Magic. Maker's Magic is a little bit more expensive than Mod Podge, but you don't get that sticky residue that you get with Mod Podge. And I recommend it for anything you're used to just put a protective coat over and to seal things. Now, I will be using Mod Podge later in this video, hilariously enough, but just to seal the paper backs of some of these pendants, because I'm not entirely sure what would happen if the paper got wet, and I would prefer not to find out. So I'm going to put a little bit of a protective coat on there, because I do have it pretty full, most of them. The bezels are full. I feel like I would not have as much control over the resin as I'd have over this. So I'm just going to seal it up with a little bit of this Maker's Magic glue. And the main difference is that it seals a lot more solid. I don't feel like it seals this sort of sticky residue. You know, if you've worked with Mod Podge, what I'm talking about. And it still leaves you that glossy coat. This here is where I probably will end up using the Mod Podge, because now what I've done with some of the leftovers is I've cut up a whole bunch of different parts, and I kind of want to collage them together, because as I'd said earlier, I really want to use as much of this as I can. So I'm just picking and choosing random bits of paper, And I'll probably put a little thin layer of Mod Podge. I top them to keep them in place and to stop them from floating around. This I will use the Mod Podge for. And I just kind of want them to stay together. Not go floating off the minute the resin hits them or another piece of paper touches them. But now it's sticking to my paintbrush. Come on. And as you can see, this went on for quite a long time of me layering and adding things. This is just a really cool thing to do, I feel. I can't wait to do more collages because they have a completely different set of paper, which I don't think I ever used, that I might do some more steampunkish jewelry with. And to be honest with you, I just actually had that idea pop in my head upon recording. So that's another thing for future me to put together and film. Right now, let's just get this all collaged in there. And now I think we're getting close to a point where we can add some resin. Let me see if there's anything else I want to put in there. I don't think so. I think we're ready. And of course I had another air bubble, but that's okay because I was thinking of doing this time anyway. And yes, I have a toothpick inserted through that bead to keep it in place. That is one way you can keep beads in place and from rolling away, is if you have a toothpick that fits into the center of the bead, you can just keep it there. And that is what I'm doing. Beautiful. And now I'm going to add one more little, let's see, I might want to rotate this way. And there we go. There we are. And I'm concerned that I may not have sealed the back because of its many layers as well as I could have. So yeah, a little bit of the paper came off back there. What to do? We're just gonna, yeah, I can definitely fit on another layer of hard resin on the back. We're not gonna bother with glue this time. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be effective. While that's curing off to the side, let me show you what I'm going to do to finish these pieces. And I'm thinking of adding a little bit of beads to the attachments that I'm going to attach to some of the plainer ones, just to give them some contrast and pop. Now, the kind of attachments I'm using, if you find them on Amazon, which I'll link them anyway, but you're going to have to look for something called jade rope or jade pendant attachments. And I like them because they have these little strings on the outside of the rope, which means that they fit through almost any jewelry bezel, and it's pretty easy. You just have to slide whatever you want to slide onto there and tie it. Now, it may take a little bit of practice and a lot of bit of patience because stuff doesn't always want to stay where you tell it to, and it slides around. But I do love these because you can see at the top there you have a drawstring, and you can make this longer or make it shorter. As well as it being very easy to just place things onto these ropes. Now you are going to have to very carefully trim the excess, and right about now I'm really wishing I had some sharper scissors. I may have to invest in a pair of smaller, sharper precision scissors. I don't know. maybe some seamstress's scissors or sewing scissors, whatever they call them. Because these are a little bit too clunky to really get in and do what I want to do, but I'm going to make it work. I'm going to find a way to make it work. And there we go. Got that attached to a necklace now. The only bad thing is that I didn't have as many ropes as I had pendants, and the rest I have are bright red and they don't look great with that. I am using this super glue, and if you're wondering why I'm using super glue to do this when I've already tied the string, is because I don't trust strings to not become untied. So I always put a very thin, not very noticeable layer of glue over the knot, because I just want to seal it in. If someone's going to pay me money for something, because I do intend to sell these, I don't want them falling apart on people. And you can see here that with these long drawstrings on the end of the rope, I can even fit other beads and other pieces of jewelry onto there to give what I've got going on a little bit of extra pop. And this is what I mean right here. That looks really well. Really goes well together. And though these little ropes are fun and you can add a lot of interesting little adornments to it, it can be kind of aggravating because I don't always tie this as accurately as I wish, and I'm sure I'll come up with a better technique in the future. One thing I did think was worth adding to the video was this technique I'm about to use here. If you've ever tried to put beads on through a string or a rope, you know the aggravation of having the ends continue to just, strip and fray on you. So you want to keep a little thing of your Maker's Magic glue or whatever glue you choose to use handy, because you'll dip the end of the strings into there, let it dry, it'll get hard, it won't do that fraying thing anymore, and it'll be a lot easier to slide your beads on. And so that's pretty much what I did. I just plopped the edge, kind of just rubbed the extra off on the side of the can. Then you will find that you have a lot easier time sliding beads onto them. A lot easier time. And here's the finished results. Lovely. We'll get some outdoors lighting and look at them up close. I think I love the heart one. If you've stuck with me this far, go ahead and like and subscribe. I will be having more interesting content coming out this week. Possibly we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to marble this paper. That'll be fun. Prepare your shaving cream. Yes, I did say prepare your shaving cream. And this is great. These are gorgeous. I really like how this project came out overall. And I can't wait to do more stuff like this. So, keep tuning in. And I will see you guys in the next art story. Bye for now.